Hey guys, this is the Sun here for the Mother and Son postgame show for the New York Giants, and I just wanted to say one thing before we get into this podcast. The Washington football team has changed their name to the Washington Commanders. Y'all took 2 years to come up with that trash name? Respectfully, y'all need to do a better job. Let's get into it. Roll the intro! Welcome back to another postseason show for the New York Giants, the Mother and Son postseason show to be exact. We're doing a little bit of a surprise podcast this morning. We kind of found out some very disturbing and troubling information regarding the hiring process for Brian Flores. And before we get into that, though, we need you to do one thing for us.
Please make sure you hit that little subscribe button, especially if you're new to our channel. Hey, welcome. If you've been watching and haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Just hit the subscribe button and hit that like button and that little bell so you know when we have these little surprise episodes just like this one. All right, let's unpack this.
We just found out that Brian Flores is filing a discrimination lawsuit, among many other things that's going on. It's a lawsuit that spans over multiple teams. It's not just for the New York Giants. But the fact that the New York Giants are involved, the mother and son naturally had to get involved. Let's start off with the actual full hiring process of the New York Giants, because they claimed that it was fair in terms of diversity, in terms of race. Let's just talk about that real quick. The timetable for the New York Giants hiring of the coaches starts off with January 11th. We fired Joe Judge. That was great.
Thank goodness.
January 21st, we hire GM Joe Schoen. Immediately after he's hired, the same exact day, guess who they interview? Brian Daboll. I didn't even know that it was the same exact day that he was hired. To me, that already shows who they wanted to be the head coach. At least in my eyes, that's what I'm seeing. It's like the first person you interview the same day that the GM is hired is Brian Daboll. And coincidence that he's the head coach right now. That aside from that, let's continue this process because it starts getting a little shady. Then, immediately after Daboll is interviewed, the next day, they interview Leslie Frazier from the Bills. And according to them, this met the requirements for the Rooney Rule regarding diverse hiring options in terms of race, whether it's black, Spanish, whatever. Also, the following day, Lou Anarumo is interviewed. You have the following day after that. Then after that, Daboll and Frazier lose to the Chiefs the next day. So, they're a little upset by that. Interestingly enough, they interview on the 24th, Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. So then now the next day after that, Brian Daboll gets his second interview before our own coach, Patrick Graham, even gets his first. Before Patrick Graham even gets his first interview, Brian Daboll gets his second. That already is a red flag to me. You didn't even give your interior guy a first interview before Brian Daboll got his second. And coincidence, Patrick Graham is black. I'm just saying. We fast forward to January 26th. Brian Flores gets his first interview. So somehow, on the same day, Brian Flores and Patrick Graham get an interview. They banged out two black coaches in one day. Brian Flores had a dinner with Joe Schoen, so it was more of a formal greeting. It wasn't just an interview. It was like you're meeting up with the guy to talk. I don't know what they talked about on that dinner, but there were two meetings. Why is it that Leslie Frazier gets his second interview 2 days after that, and then the same damn day y'all hire Brian Daboll? It's almost like you interviewed Leslie Frazier a second time to not make it look as bad for not interviewing Brian Flores officially a second time. Because you've met with Brian Flores twice. And here's the thing with Leslie Frazier. You've known him longer than you've known Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen. 1 full year longer with Leslie Frazier. And Leslie Frazier has head coaching experience. But Brian Daboll has 4 years of coaching experience, not as a head coach, but he gets the head coaching job. And he gets a second interview before Leslie Frazier. If you look at the rankings of the Buffalo Bills in terms of their offense and defense, respectively, Leslie Frazier did a better job. Leslie Frazier had the number 1 defense in the NFL. Brian Daboll was in charge of the number 10 offense. They were number 10. Number 10 is still impressive. I'm not saying that's not impressive, but it was number 10. Last time I checked, 1 trumps 10 every time. If you're number 1 in your category, shouldn't you be the best option to be a coach?
Absolutely.
I'm confused. So how is it that the Giants are saying that this process was fair when you made it seem like Brian Flores was going to get another interview because that's the only coach you had a dinner with? So it's almost like you're misleading this person, making them think that, they might give me a shot just because you want to satisfy the Rooney Rule. I'm not trying to say the Giants are racist, YouTube. I'm just saying it's sketch. The whole thing is sketch. The mother, what are your thoughts on this?
So where are you getting this timeline from? Where's that from exactly?
I got this from LarryBrownSports.com.
Does he source where he got his information about the interview dates?
I know where he got it because he cited his source at the bottom. Rich Barnes, USA Today Sports.
Okay.
And USA Today Sports is pretty well known. Apparently, this guy is well known. I looked up a little bit of his information. He actually has it on here on his website. He's the founder of this website, and he has been covering professional sports for over 19 years. And he has media experience. He's actually a radio host at Fox Sports Radio.
Yeah, I recognize that Larry Brown name. Larry Brown's been around for a long time. He's a broadcaster.
Yeah, so he's a reliable source.
What I'm reading on ESPN.com, what they did was they unpacked what was in the Flores lawsuit. And they're saying that Flores alleges he spoke with the Giants on Zoom on January 18th, prior to them hiring Joe Schoen on the 23rd. But they're saying sometime in the 24 hours that Schoen got hired, they scheduled an in-person interview with Flores for the 27th. Flores also, this is the interesting piece that comes out of the lawsuit, according to ESPN. The co-director of player personnel, Tim McDonald, texted Flores. This is the Giants co-director, player personnel. They say they texted Flores and said he hoped he would come in and win the effing job. So that's now an internal person at the Giants organization reaching out to Flores, giving him a thumbs up, saying, hey, things are looking good. I really hope that you'll, basically like, you come in, we could give you this job. But now they're saying that hours later, he alleges that he received text messages from one Bill Belichick, who's known to do some shady stuff. Let's just put it out there. All right. Belichick text messages him. Now, Brian Flores worked under Belichick for 10 years, and as did Brian Daboll. Daboll also had a Belichick connection. Okay. Belichick is thinking he's messaging a Brian, and he's telling this Brian, hey, Buffalo and NYG say you're the guy. Flores responds, hello, Bill, do you mean Brian Flores or Brian Daboll? And then what happens is interesting, according to the text messages, which are part of evidence, by the way, in this lawsuit, screenshots of these text messages. Flores says Belichick reached back out to him after he asked, do you mean Daboll or myself? And he said, sorry, I effed this up. That's what Belichick said. I double checked and misread the text. So he misread the text that he received from his informants. I think they're naming Brian Daboll. I'm sorry about that, said Belichick, according to the text messages supplied by Flores. This whole thing is very interesting because there's receipts. Okay, when there's receipts, there's always trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Flores says that that his January 27th in-person interview was just there just to satisfy that Rooney rule, that they have to that he was the first minority candidate to interview in person, and it was a sham. That's what he's saying. And by that point, now the 27th was Thursday. On the January 28th, sometime after 5 p.m. on January 28th, because I know this because I've been following the head coaching selection process with the New York Giants. The Giants announced they hired Brian Daboll. So they interviewed Flores the day before. And then this is all after these text messages from Bill Belichick days before, saying that he was hearing days before they brought in Flores for his in-person that Daboll had the job. I think Brian Flores has a case. He's got a case, and these receipts, they say a lot.
His timetable is very well mapped out, and it doesn't match what you're saying, and that's sketch. Because if Brian Flores is saying what happened on his end, and this is the timetable that Larry Brown was given, somebody's not right. It's not Brian Flores. It can't be. I'm looking at the timetable right here. It shows that Brian Daboll was hired as head coach before Brian Flores even got the second interview. And they interviewed Brian Flores on the 27th because Dan Quinn announced that he was going to stay as defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. I'm not saying that that's the direct reason, but something about that's off. That Brian Flores even got that interview in the first place. Would he even got the interview if Dan Quinn didn't announce that he was going to stay the defensive coordinator? Would they have interviewed Dan Quinn a second time? I'm just saying. I don't know. The whole thing doesn't seem right.
And Leslie Frazier, if he's in the mix, and he's a black coach, right? If he's in the mix, then the Rooney rule with the first minority candidate, Flores is saying he was the first. So there's a lot of things here that need to be ironed out and figured out. The Giants have enough problems dealing with their own nonsense. Now they have created this situation where another coach can accuse them of racism. And here's the thing. Giants have never had a brown face as head coach in the history of this organization. As a fan, I know this, and there's people, of course, who are in the industry who know this. This lawsuit, it makes sense. Now, he made it a class action suit. A class action suit means it's a suit that others can join. So I'm hoping that other coaches who feel like they didn't have a fair shot, I hope they join the lawsuit with their own receipts. We feel this is a very controversial subject surrounding our New York Giants, and we want to hear from you. So I have this question for you, our audience, and I want you to respond in the comment. Do you feel that there was a fair opportunity for Flores and other coaches of color to participate in the head coaching interview process? So that's what we want to hear. We'll engage with you on there. You've heard our opinion. You've heard some of the information that's floating around from different sources. Go ahead, tell us what you think. Try not, and please be appropriate. Do not say anything racist. People who are racist, who say anything racist, will get banned. I will report you to YouTube. I just had to say that. That's important because we're going to get comments like that.
I'm sure we will. It is what it is. But like the mother said, be respectful, please, when you're in the comment section. We'll treat you as you treat us. If y'all want to come in here talking smack, believe me, I'm the one that talks trash in the family. I'll respond. I'll take care of it. My mother don't got time to waste her time with children. With that being said, make sure you leave a comment. If you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Subscribe, please. And also make sure you like. It helps with that YouTube algorithm. It shows people that this video is good and has reliable information and all that good stuff with YouTube algorithms. So please do that for us and make sure you share. Very important you do that. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good day.